The officials were in the building.
All right, we're going to go ahead and resume the meeting. On item I, which is LU 2406, can I get a motion to reconsider the Catnip Solar?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
as a member of the majority vote from last month, I would make a motion to reconsider L 2406 and would request as personal privilege that I be allowed to address the board if this motion receives a second.
Okay, do we have a second? Seconded by Trail. Nick?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. First of all, I need to offer my apologies to the members of the public and everyone else in this room that thought this was put to bed last month. I apologize for that. I'm deeply troubled by that. I feel like I'm sitting on a razor, getting ready to be cut in half, not knowing which way to vote, and I know this vote has an impact on lots of people in our county. But the reason I'm bringing it back for reconsideration is we have since learned additional information that I think the board needs to consider in these resolutions, in these two resolutions. That is my reason for bringing this back to a vote. I also want to make sure that everybody understands that my reason for sponsoring this or making this motion should not be taken as a position in support or against this motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we have a motion and a second just to bring it back to the floor. This isn't going one way or the other. All those in favor of reconsider? Aye. Signify by aye. Sorry.
Roll call.
Okay. So a yes is to reconsider, bring it back onto the floor, and no is not to.
Atkins.
Yes.
Crawford.
No.
Deppert.
Nope.
Mark Goddard.
Aye.
Sam Goddard.
Yes.
Graff.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Harris. Hopkins.
Yes.
Josting.
Yes.
Longfellow.
Yes.
Mennel.
Yes.
Mingus.
Yes.
Nelms.
Yes.
Pageant.
No.
Trail.
Yes.
Rich Simpson.
No.
Schmidgall.
No.
Schneider.
Yes.
Sin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. So, questions, comments regarding the Catnip Solar project?
I have a point of information.
Yes.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman. I seem to recall that was there a motion made to amend this? It seems like it had to do with the date of expiration. If I remember right, the original request was for a 2-year extension, and didn't we amend that to make it a 1-year extension?
Bill?
I know you weren't here at the meeting, but I was, and I've spoken with Mike Holly when you saw me go out in the hallway. It was to speak with him. This comes back in the state that it was in when it failed. It had been amended so that it was a 1-year extension because that's what our ordinance actually required. That was my motion to amend it so that we could actually follow the law.
So the motion we would be voting on is the amended, with the approved amendment, I should say. Thank you.
It's the motion as amended, which failed at the last meeting.
Greg, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I think I made it clear to this board what I think about solar and wind. I'm not in favor of these projects, but what we're facing tonight, I'm gonna vote yes because I don't think we have a choice. I mean, we have a choice, but we know what's gonna happen. And so I don't see any reason to prolong this anymore, because we're gonna be right back here doing this again.
Any other comments or questions? Russ?
What is today? June what?
26th.
This is a sad day. This is gonna go down as a sad day in almost the 50 years I've served on this county board. Because nobody's voting, it sounds like. First of all, everybody, it seemed like, voted their conscience last month. They looked at the research, they looked at the facts, they looked at the petition, they looked at listened to the objections. They followed all the protocol of a good county board member. They represented their constituents. All of a sudden, today, which has been going on for a couple days, some of you have had the phone calls, all of a sudden, it's not about any of that stuff. It's all about what Governor Pritzker and the Illinois General Assembly did. Well, let me tell you something about Governor Pritzker and the Illinois General Assembly.
And I want you to just hold your comments to what is on the floor tonight.
Yeah, this is all about what's on the floor tonight. East Peoria is blocked. They can't go in 3 directions, they can only go in one. And this project that's on the floor right now, but this doesn't refer to the other solar project, prohibits them, doesn't sort of make it inconvenient. It prohibits them, it stops them from any economic development growth in that area. Done. Now I want to tell you something. Pritzker and the General Assembly don't care about East Peoria. They don't care about their growth. But we as a county board in Tazewell County do care about the second largest municipality in Tazewell County. And we should. And we always have ever since I've been here. I want to tell you, I could go on and on, but I won't. I'll be efficient for Dave.
Thank you.
But I will say this. This idea of Pritzker and the General Assembly going into Tazewell County and the other counties and carving out categories of land use and zoning is very dangerous. That makes me more upset than the project. Because I'm going to tell you what, if we allow them to get by with this, and they fill their oats like they will, like they always do, what is to say next month or a year down the road, they don't come and decide that, you know what, we don't like the way Amy's running the Tazewell County Health Department. We want the state to interfere with the way it runs it. Or we don't like Danny Parr and you get the idea, I'm not talking about Danny Parr, but all the county engineers in the state who do a great job, as do the health directors.
Russ, can
But
you
the
kind of
state,
pull it in?
this is my key point here, Dave. And I'll wrap it up in 1.5 minutes. They will go in, they can go then into other categories of the county. And no offense, Mr. Johnson, but they could say, you know what? We don't really think the Tazewell
Russ, can you
County
please
State's
sit,
Attorney's doing a
Russ, can
great
you sit
job.
down?
So we
Russ,
can-
I need you to sit down.
So what we can do, there's no rules against standing up or sitting down when you're speaking, Mr. Chairman, I know the rules. Anyway,
Okay,
Mr. Johnson,
you know, I need.
well, wait a minute,
Parliamentary-
the county,
Russ.
the state can interfere in the county officers running their job. We can't allow that, Dave. Thanks.
All right. We're back to, the reconsideration. A yes would allow this, unless there's any more comments. I'm sorry, Bill?
While I agree with some of what Mr. Crawford said, I think that he's actually talking about the wrong case. I have no love for Mr. Pritzker or for most of our General Assembly, but that's not the issue here. This is our ordinance, and it's the way that our ordinance has been interpreted for years, for I think decades. And it's simply doing what we've always done and treating Catnet Solar, even though they're a solar project, just the same as we've treated everyone else for a lifetime. So unless we're gonna say Catnet Solar is so evil that they don't deserve the protection of the laws that we've passed for the citizens of this county, we have to treat them like we've treated everyone else, and we have to pass this. This is not about whether it's a good idea to begin with. That decision was made when they originally applied, and this board, I believe over my no vote, voted to allow this. So now, we should simply apply the law. Just follow the law. Law that we passed. This is not the tyranny of the General Assembly. This is not Springfield interfering with us. This is us simply treating Catnet Solar the same as we treat everyone else and saying, yes, they deserve the protection of the law. Thank you.
Nick?
One of the persons that spoke for this project indicated that the board should vote its conscience, and I wish I could. Unfortunately, the reason we're in this position is because of a year ago when we approved this, we did it for the same reason we're going to do it tonight, is because of the threat of lawsuits. That's why we approved it a year ago. I wish I could vote my conscience, but I'm not going to be able to.
Any other comments or questions? John?
Thank you, Chairman. I had mentioned this last month, and I just want to reiterate, I really appreciate all those that came out tonight speaking for and against the project, letting their voices be heard. I wasn't on the board at the time of the original vote. I'm only having, as Member Adkins mentioned, the opportunity to look at the law we've created. As I think it was Linda spoke about earlier, we are a democratic republic. We created these laws is to protect the citizens, and that's exactly what we're voting on tonight, not, unfortunately, the issues that, Mayor Call brings up, which I, totally feel for. If we're looking at those, my vote may be different, but unfortunately, I can only look at the things that deal with the extension of the permit, which is if they've made progress in this and they're not asking for any changes. So I will be a yes vote specific to those reasons only.
Mr. King, I'm going to have to ask you to sit down. David? All right. Any other comments or questions? David, I need you to sit down. I need you to sit down, David. I need you to sit down, David. Sheriff, can you just keep an eye on Mr. King? You're not allowed to interfere with our meeting, David. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by
Roll
aye.
call vote, please.
Roll call, okay.
Yes, sir.
John?
Crawford,
No.
Deppert,
Nope.
Mark Goddard,
Aye.
Sam Goddard,
Yes.
Graff,
Present.
Hall,
Aye.
Harris, Hopkins,
Yes.
Josting,
Yes.
Longfellow,
No.
Mennel,
Yes.
Mingus,
No.
Nelms,
Yes.
Pageant,
Ridgely no, and Snow again.
Frail,
Yes, with regret.
Rich Simpson,
Yes.
Schmidtall,
No.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I didn't get to
Oh,
Atkins. It's the rotation, sorry about that, Atkins.
I said yes.
motion passes. Okay, on to LU 2408, the reconsideration of Coyote Road Solar. Can I get a motion to get that on the floor? Motion by Mennel. Can I get a second by Trail? All those in favor of bringing it back onto the floor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
So noted. Okay, it's back on the floor. Any comments or questions regarding Coyote Road Solar? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Need a show of hands? Nice.
Good point for it, too, Terry.
Roll call.
Yeah, roll call.
Deppert,
No.
Mark Goddard,
Aye.
Sam Goddard,
Yes.
Graff,
No.
Hall,
Aye.
Harris, Hopkins,
Yes.
Josting,
Yes.
Longfellow,
Yes.
Mennel,
Yes.
Mingus,
Yes.
Nelms,
Yes.
Pageant,
Yes.
Frail,
Yes.
Rich Simpson,
No.
Schmidtall,
No.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sin,
No.
Atkins,
Yes.
Crawford,
No.
Deppert. You had to know, right? Just wanted to make sure.
Vote again?
No, I wanted to make sure I called you. Thank you.
All right, motion passes.
What's the, can you announce the vote, Chairman?
1, 2,
13-7.
Thank you.
All right, back to our regular agenda. We have two in-place meetings tonight. Our first one is an in-place property committee meeting. So, Chairman Longfellow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you please call the roll?
Chairman Longfellow?
Here.
Vice Chair Mingus?
Here.
Atkins? Goddard?
Here.
Graff?
Here.
Josie?
Here.
Rich Simpson? Here. Schneider?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
Mayor Moore.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to put P 24-18 on the floor? Rich Stinson, second by John Hopkins. This is about flooring for the Broadway building that we need to get approved, but we have a revised resolution, so I need an amendment for the revised resolution. Mr. Graff, second. Oh, go ahead.
Tell you what it is, yeah. Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to amend P 2418 to include the language that's in yellow on the sheet.
Okay, a second on that. Mr. Goddard, any questions? All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we'll move back to the motions have been approved.
No. Amended motion.
So I need to vote on the amended motion? Okay. All those in favor for the amended motion?
Aye.
Hearing none, is there any against? Hearing none, that's approved. We're in recess.
Thank you, Greg. And we do have an in-place executive committee meeting. Sandy, if you could call the roll, please.
Chairman Zimmerman?
Here.
Vice Chair Harris? Atkins?
Here.
Graff?
Here.
Hall?
Here.
Josie? Longfellow?
Here.
Mennel?
Here.
Mingus?
Here.
Frail?
Here.
Rich Simpson? Here. Schneider?
Here.
All right, we have a quorum, we'll do business. Can I get a motion for E 2481? Motion by Hall, second by Prail. Dan, can you just tell us what happened to the bridge this week? And, or Greg, I'm sorry.
I'll let Dan
Okay.
explain.
The afternoon of June 13th, Thursday, a probably 50-ton truck hit the north side of the bridge on Town Line over Prairie Creek and basically took the entire concrete railing off. Nobody got hurt, and the bridge rail actually served its purpose even though it was 60 years old. Actually, we were at this bridge programmed to be replaced. We would have a letting in like October, November to actually replace the bridge. So over the last 10 or so days, we've had the bridge evaluated. Emergency services were out there lickety split and had everything safely closed, giving us time to evaluate the bridge, and we're going to be able to reopen it here hopefully tomorrow or Friday. So on a temporary one-lane basis. So it doesn't happen every day, but it has happened twice before. So.
And that's why we needed to declare the emergency, just to get things started. Any questions for Dan? Nick?
I just have a question. Will we get reimbursed for insurance through this? I mean, obviously, we're speculating, but.
Yes, we pursued that, and we have the name of the company and a claim number, and it's just a matter of communicating to them the extent.
Any other questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Can I get a motion for E 2482? For Executive Committee, motion by Rich Stimpson, second by Joe Sting. This is the Internet Service Agreement with Stratus. Mike, you want to?
Thank you. This has two components to it. One is with bringing on the new Broadway building pretty soon. We need to get agreements in place so that they would have internet service. And also related to the second item here is changing how we deliver internet to the Tremont campus. Currently, we do a method where we have the internet come here at the Justice Center and shipped out to the Tremont campus. This is making it so that both campuses will have their internet independently, which should help with continuity. And then it'll be the same for I3. The next item that's best practices to have a primary source and a secondary as a backup to make sure we have that continuity of service.
Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. E 2483, our internet service agreement with I3 Broadband. Can I get a motion? Motion by Atkins, second by Rich Stimpson. Talk about that.
Yes, and so this is the having the second provider there. Part of it is changing the current contract we have with I3, where rather than shipping the internet out, having a direct connection there. That part of it at a minimal cost increase. The other part is bringing on the broadband or the Broadway building so that it has an internet connection there.
Questions? Kim?
Thank you. Reading this the other night, I came across on page 11 and 17 for contacts. I want to.
I did notice that too, and we will update that to make sure it lists the right contacts, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody's aware.
Good catch, Kim. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And then finally, in Executive Committee, E 2484, can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Mennel, second by Longfellow. This is for our IT managed service agreement. Any questions on that? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes, and we are out of Executive Committee. That'll bring us down to our consent agenda. Item 17 has been pulled for this evening, so you can scratch that. Item 9, 22, 23, and 24 and 25 will automatically be pulled. 18. Any others? Can I get a motion on the remainder? Motion by Rich Stimpson, second by Nelms. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I'm gonna take the appointments A through D. Can I get a motion for that? Motion by Atkins, second by Deppert. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Appointments pass. Back to our agenda, item 9, that just came out of committee. Can I get a motion to get this on the floor? Motion by Crawford, second by Mingus. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Item 18, the auditor referendum. In a motion. Motion by Graff, second. Second by Longfellow. Any discussion? Greg?
Excuse me, I didn't read that exactly. Is this to put it on the ballot, or what is the terminology for this?
I think the language is in your packet, but it is to put the auditor elimination on the referendum for this November.
For this November?
Yes.
So, the next auditor had a reasonable, compelling argument, that type of thing, does our current auditor have any comments on this, or did he comment on?
I do.
Go ahead.
I can talk from here if you all can hear me. I know I'm generally soft, but
Actually, John would like you on the mic.
thanks. I know I generally talk kind of quiet, so sorry. I came to exec 2 months ago and spoke to this. I had asked that this does not go on the ballot as a referendum question because multiple reasons. To start off with, you know, I was one of the people who voted to put it on the referendum back in 2018. And it was one of those things that we had a long-standing auditor come in, or been there for a while, somebody else coming in. If we have a chance to get rid of government, I'm generally in favor of that, and we didn't have a good plan for it. It was beaten almost 2 to 1, and it was one of those things that at that point the public said that no, we want an auditor. So from that point it was, we need to do this correctly. And so as I looked at that and did the different things to go along with that office, I then became the auditor and had a plan for going forward with it. It's one of those where getting in there, I worked to rebuild the trust that had been in that office beforehand. I had several wins in the office as finding different things. There's parts of the office that are very financial. We took that and we gave it to the finance department. There are CPAs in there that help with that, check it, and do the different things to go along with it. There's also the internal auditing part that the finance department does not do. That's one of the things that they're talking about, trying to find somebody to go do that. A retired CPA, contracting it out, which was part of my plan because I found the guy who has every qualification to do this, and it will not be a cost savings. And from his words, you also heard him that he will also come to us in 2 years and be like, okay, you need to maybe really consider getting rid of this or keeping it for these reasons. But he is a qualified man, an auditor. He's been a CPA for forever. The current arguments on some of this stuff is that not every county has one. Not every county qualifies for it. That's a big part of this. Another one on it is that there's no experience needed for the auditor's position. There's also no experience needed for a county board member or a county board chairman or some of these others. And yet, to be in charge of watching a $67 million budget, in a way, kind of takes the same experience that it does to tell people what to do with their land, or to go through some of the different parts and pieces that you're expected to deal with, all these making decisions. You don't know how to run the sheriff's office, yet our budget is dictated by the county board on what to do with his budget, or the state's attorney. Not everybody has this experience to go do the job correctly, but we have the opportunity to have somebody come in here and do it. So I had been working on a plan to come forward with it, to bring a man in who could do the job and give us an opinion. I asked for 2 years to be able to have him come back and look at it and say, this is what we want to do, or this is what we should do. And so I'm gonna ask you again, please do not put this on the referendum. Let's go with a plan forward of a man who's qualified to answer the question, and let's ask it again in a couple of years.
So any other comments or questions? I have a few comments. Dave?
Yes, thank you. I will be supporting action to allow residents the option to determine the fate of the auditor's position. The elected county auditor was established by the Illinois General Assembly in 1911. What may have been effective in 1911 certainly is not relevant today. The complexities associated with fiscal responsibility and protecting county assets requires a highly sophisticated environment of check and balances, internal and external controls, and strict compliance of accepted government auditing standards. I believe our current environment of competent staff coupled with external auditors have proven their ability to responsibly fulfill these. They have continually provided necessary controls and practices despite the lack of presence and competency of past auditors. The auditor's duties have become redundant. I believe the intense testing of the fiscal environment by all levels by external auditors is paramount to objective accountability. Please understand we will be paying $59,182 salary, $6,500 stipend, totaling $65,688. By 2027, this salary will be $73,110. Not bad for what it would have been, I'm told, to be a part-time position. Other concerns: the only qualifications to be an auditor is to be 18 years of age and a resident of Tazewell County. Auditors serve a 4-year term, causing possible instability due to different people being elected. Being an elected official creates perceived beholding and bias, and certainly with our divide politically today, this is certainly a key point. I could go on, however, I believe you get the point. Respectfully, I acknowledge others have differing opinions. This is exactly why the people should be the ones who make the decision. I want to express my thoughts are in no way to accuse or imply wrongdoing. I have a long history of being extremely cautious when it comes to being responsible for the money of others. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Max?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that we talk a lot about the auditor qualifications, and while they are very minimal, I think Mr. Funkhauser, if we were to put together a perfect resume for an auditor, that he would fit that bill completely. So the argument that it's a really paper-thin qualification is fine, but it doesn't really apply in this scenario, in my opinion. $60,000 plus a year for an internal auditor is relatively cheap insurance. I think we spend a lot of money on insurance here, and have somebody here who can continually watch the internal workings or the internal financials of Tazewell County is just huge. I can't do it. We can't do it. I think Brett's point was really well taken. And I would also say that I think the people have already spoken on this. We had an auditor that was very unpopular. She's not doing a good job, and we couldn't, and the voters decided to keep it. Now, I do think this resolution is worded a little bit differently than it was a few years ago. I think that's on purpose. I think that the amount of money that we spend for this is really, really cheap and good insurance by a very qualified person. I will not be supporting the resolution.
Russ?
I can make my comments shorter because I agree with everything Max and Brett said. Everything. This idea that we should ask the voters is a good one, which is why we did in 2018 recently. And they overwhelmingly said, we don't want no auditor, and we know that an external auditor is totally different in terms of requirement and function. And we don't want an auditor hired by the board office because that's sort of an inside deal. It's not a checks and balances. So we want an independently elected quality, which means that the Democrat and Republican Party have an obligation to go out and pick a very well-heeled, documented, excellent candidate like we have coming up in November. So there's no reason to do this now unless you want to basically send a message from the county board to the taxpayers that, well, we didn't believe you, or we didn't agree with you last time, so we're going to have to ask you again. And I don't think that's good government. Thanks.
I do think we asked for the public safety sales tax a couple times too, so times change. Any other comments or questions? Nancy?
Well, I've been very vocal about this for the last few months to various people,
and I've mentioned this at exec, and I will say it tonight, I think we assumed a lot of things by the vote several years ago, and I think it had a lot to do with the fact that we did not inform the people of what the auditor really did, and I don't think we marketed that point of view very well, and that's enough said on that. The other side of that is I was ready to put this up on the ballot right away, and the more I've thought about this, I think we do need to give this new person a chance. I don't mind listening to some information from other people, and I think he's one that can give us the information, and I don't think the 2 years is gonna be a problem for me, so I will vote that this does not have to be on the ballot. Thank you.
Any other comments? I just have a few. So, you know what, Bill Funkhauser is eminently qualified, and I would be proud to have him as our auditor in Tazewell County. And if he wins, or if this doesn't go on the ballot, I think, I mean, I can't say enough good things. We can't look at the person though, we have to look at the position. And I'll just tell you, in the last 2 years, there's only a handful of auditors in the state of Illinois, and there are some that are very good. But we saw what happened in Peoria County, buying Lazy Boy chairs and Costco memberships. McLean County is working on this right now. She didn't get her grant applications in, so some of the nonprofits are not getting their money. And so it's up on the referendum there. Champaign County, just 2 months ago, censured their auditor for doing political work and looking at porn on his computer. And then Kankakee County, their auditor has 2 jobs. He works for the state full-time, comes in the evening and does his auditing duties, so he's earning 2 pensions at the same time. So I think we need to look at the position and not the person, because Bill is a great person, more than qualified. The only accountability then for these people I just listed is that, you know, you gotta wait another 3 years till their term comes up. In 18 and a resident of the county is just not sufficient. Again, I don't have a dog in this fight if it goes down. I mean, I want people to vote their conscience, but those are things, some of the things that I think we should give the voters an opportunity to vote on. So, any other comments or questions? Tammy?
I just have one comment. It was made at least once in executive, and I've heard it this evening, as far as 2018 is too soon. It's only 6 years. We need to wait 10. But if we all know, we listen to the president being elected every 4 years. So I don't think we wait 10 years to elect a new president. So I don't think a time frame should be used to base your decision.
John?
Just a question.
Yes.
What's the term? Is this a 2 or 4 year term?
It's a 4-year term is what's coming up, yeah. So again, Bill, I wish you well either way, but, so yes, we send it to the voters, no, we'll have an auditor. Max?
Roll call vote, please.
Yes. Go ahead.
Mark Goddard,
Aye.
Sam Goddard,
No.
Graff,
No.
Hall,
No.
Harris, Hopkins,
No.
Josty,
Yes.
Longfellow,
No.
Mennel,
No.
Mingus,
Yes.
Nelms, Pageant,
No.
Frail,
No.
Rich Simpson,
Yes.
Schmidtgall,
No.
Schneider,
No.
Sen,
No.
Atkins,
No.
Crawford,
Nay.
Deppert.
Nope.
Motion fails.
Motion fails pretty significantly, so good luck, Bill. All right. All right, motion is voted down. Moving on to item 22, can I get a motion for E2481? Motion by Hopkins, second by Crail. This is the Township Bridge. Any questions on that? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. E2482 just came out, motion by Hall, second by Longfellow. This is the Stratus Network. Any more questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. E2483 just came out of committee. Motion by Nelms and second by Atkins. This is the I-3 broadband agreement. Any questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. And E2484, the IT agreement. Can we get a motion? Motion by Hall, second by Atkins. Any questions? Dick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make sure that board members know that the approval of this resolution carries with it personnel issues. I just want to, I'm aware of those, but if there's questions or we need to talk about it, then we need to talk about it. But this carries with it personnel issues.
Negative impact on personnel issues.
Any other comments or questions? Russ?
Roy? I'm just trying to read between the lines on what Mr. Kraft is saying. Should we go into executive, or are you suggesting something like that, or that we need to talk about?
I think if we're going to talk about it, it would be appropriate to go into executive session to do that.
Is there a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Bill Atkins.
I would move that we go into executive session under 5 ILCS 120/2 C1 to discuss personnel.
Is there a second? Second by Hall. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are in executive session. If I can ask the public to leave.